Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of I've Been Thinking. It's me, your girl, your host, Elena Grace, and today I have the guys from Responsible Products with me. Say hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us on the show.
Absolutely. I am so glad that y'all are here. I'm really excited and also very flattered that this is kind of your second big media thing you said the other day, Meryl. Very honored to be a part of your early stages, I guess, of growth. And
we're happy to be here.
Yeah, and you all are a part of my early stages of growth too. I am just this past week I hit about 1 year of working on the podcast. So that's super exciting for me. And we're hosting, as of this episode coming out, we will be finished with a really awesome giveaway that you all sponsored. So
we're in the future right now.
Yeah, we're in the future. Isn't that weird?
That's amazing.
Time travel through podcast. So I want you all to start us out by introducing yourselves. Each of you, tell us your role in the company. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you got here.
Sure. Okay. I will go first. My name's Nate. I am the founder and CEO of Responsible Products. I have been in the packaging industry for over a decade. So once I got out of college, it was essentially my first job, working in basically a packaging company. Worked my way up to sales director. We were focused largely on what we call molded fiber. So if you guys are familiar with things like the 4-cup carrier that you would get at a Starbucks or something,
yeah,
or Chinette plates, those are also molded fiber. So spent about a decade doing that and saw what was going on in the industry. Thought that I could make an impact, and that was the impetus to creating Responsible Products. So when I was working for my previous employer, a lot of the major packaging companies that we dealt with, the biggest companies in the world, North America and Europe, they manufacture a lot of plastics, a lot of styrofoam, and they would contract manufacture with us, which is basically we would make their sustainable product line. And I really wanted to create a company that only made sustainable products. So if you visit our website for Responsible Products, you'll see our tagline is sustainable is all we do. So we're really focused on only making products that are made from renewable materials, so like sugarcane or plant fibers. And then once you're done with them, they can be composted completely. So really having a full sustainable life cycle. Um, I came back to Cincinnati, was it a few years ago, and decided to really launch this. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary here in Cincinnati, and it's just been, as any startup, it's been kind of insane, but a fun journey. And I'm really, really glad that Merrill's along for the ride with me on this. He's been a great blessing. But before I ramble or digress too much, that's kind of a short intro to me and how we started this company.
Awesome. Thank you. Merrill, tell us about you now.
Man, that's a tough act to follow. So I do not have that depth of knowledge in the field. My background is purely sales, and I was debating telling this story, but we'll go for it. So it's kind of a funny story of how I joined the company. So I have been working in corporate sales most of my life, and during COVID, my position with my company was eliminated. So I was kind of out for the first time in a long time. I've been working with that particular company for going on about 12 years. So I was completely new to like the workforce, re-entering the workforce, especially in the COVID economy. So just so happens that my fiance has a food blog that, it's kind of her hobby. And she was one of the early followers of Responsible Products on social media. And keep in mind, I had no idea, I was just going about my life without even knowing what Responsible Products was. But, she kind of has her hands in a little bit of everything in Cincinnati, which is really cool. So long story short, Nate actually reached out to her because she was kind of in tune with the Cincinnati food scene, which looking back on it was very smart.
Yeah.
But he invited her, and she's not bad looking either, which helps. So he invited her for like a model shoot or for a pretty much like a stock photography shoot for the new products that they were working on. And I forget honestly how I got dragged into it, but usually, Tara will, whatever she does, she'll drag me along with her. So that's how I met Nate at first. And we had a blast. I was really interested in his story and his company. And what they were doing, because there's not really any companies in Cincinnati doing exactly what we're doing, and just the drive that he had, I could tell immediately. And I guess he saw something in me too. So we got to talking, and I told him a little bit about my past experience and middle management and sales, and he eventually just kind of asked me to, he said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming to the company and running our sales team?" And I said, "You know what? It sounds crazy, but what the hell? Let's do it." And here we are, with a lot of growth in a very little time. So it's a really wild story.
Yeah, y'all are growing like insanely from my perspective. You are in so many restaurants and breweries and stuff like that around Cincinnati, and that's really awesome to see all of these companies, just digging in and making you a part of their brand.
Yeah, well, when I came on board, I think everybody, wants to be more sustainable, wants to live a life that is less waste. I don't think there's anybody on earth that says that, we want to create more waste. But what I found was interesting is that a lot of the restaurants that we're working with now, or the breweries that we're working with now, they were either already using these types of products, or they were on the hunt. They were actively looking for. So it was really kind of the perfect time for a lot of our clients now, especially some of the breweries that you mentioned. But I think it also really comes down to the shop local movement. A lot of when we all kind of shut down during COVID, we had all these restaurants that were just, if please come shop with us or we're going to die, literally.
Literally.
And I think that, the shop small movement that's been building for many years really kind of came to a boiling point during COVID, and it really kind of changed the way we're thinking about this. And it was easy for those same owners to also kind of back up what they were asking for and partner with a local company. And that's one thing that I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And I think that's awesome that it came about that way because I was kind of wondering how you got into so many of these restaurants and breweries and all of that, like how you did this kind of community engagement. But that explanation of, your girlfriend being a part of the food scene already and then COVID bringing things to a boiling point, all of that makes so much sense. But it's really awesome that it came to that really organic, like perfect combination of all of these things for you, Meryl, to meet Nate, and then for the company to come into all of these new spaces.
Yeah, we would kind
Yeah.
of joke that it was just like made to be. It almost
Yeah.
felt like it was bound to happen.
Oh, for sure. It sounds like it to me. So,
Yeah, I've told Meryl, it's almost like the stars have always aligned throughout our journey in
yeah,
this company. And just to piggyback on this conversation, I mean, I think his fiance, soon to be wife,
true.
she was like one of our first 50 followers. And back then, everyone who followed us, I would just check them out briefly, try to figure out, hey, who's our audience, who's engaging with us. And then it was actually a private account, so like even if I had come across her, randomly, I would have never known her. But I saw the pictures, and she's very beautiful. But Meryl's in the majority of pictures with her, and I'm like, wow, like these guys are just super attractive when they're together. Like the love radiates out from the photographs, and we were going into winter when we were about to do our winter shoot, and I just reached out to her, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and would love if you guys can do this photo shoot with us. And they agreed. It went really well. I think if anyone saw my interview with Meryl for the job, they'd laugh because it was just one of those gut instinct things where we instantly connected. And luckily it has worked out extremely well. But yeah, we continue to add people now. We're kind of on pace. We're adding one full-time employee per month. This month it might be two. So are growing very strong, and it's been a blessing. And I have to say, like really finding the right people, the right personality mix, has been instrumental to just building, a fun place to work and a place with a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think that people are super important to a workplace culture. But like you said, I mean, it seems like the stars have aligned perfectly so far in your journey with this company. And I think that's really awesome because it's like a sign that you're doing the right thing and you're in the right place. You're where you should be.
Yeah. So far, so good. So
Yeah.
knock on wood. Yeah.
So tell us about your products because they literally seem like the kind of thing that you should see on like Shark Tank or on like an Instagram ad or something. Like I don't feel like plant-based like dog poop bags or like plant-based kitchen sandwich bags are possible, but I have like a freaking basket of them in the other room. And so like tell us about them.
Yeah, so essentially, it just comes down to material science and the manufacturing process. So, I mean, we haven't invented the science ourselves. We're working off of other people's innovations,
Right.
but we're using that to develop very innovative, fun, and engaging products. And aside from the products themselves, like with the doggy bags, we do unique designs that are fun and people like to use. Um, when it comes to the renewable materials, so we have a wide range of products, and they are manufactured using different processes. So, for example, with molded fiber, the raw material is sugarcane fiber. So what happens is, and sugar production is huge in the United States and also in Asia as well. the sugar producers will crush the stalk to extract the sugar, and then you're left with this fibrous residue, which in the past, and they still do it quite a bit, but they would just burn it. It was just waste, and they would burn it. And so, what is now they take it to a pulp mill where it's clean and processed into a pulp board, and then that is transported to basically we call a converter or a factory, and they will repulp it so into a wet slurry. And sorry, I know this. I hope I'm describing this well.
No, you are, and this is really fascinating.
Yeah. So at the factory, you have this. Basically, it's just like a thick board. Think of that like a thick paper board, but it's not paper. It's a fiber board made from sugarcane fiber, and they'll dump it into. They'll mix it with water. They'll beat it into a slurry, and then that slurry is fed into machines with tools, and those tools are the shapes. Like it'd be the shape of a Chinette plate or the shape of a takeout container, and then they'll drain the water out, and that wet fiber will take the shape of whatever tool is in the machine, and then they'll dry it, and then bam, you have your finished product. So you're literally, in that case, not only are we using a renewable fiber, but we're taking a waste product, something that would have just been discarded or burned, and we're finding a new use for it. And then you get to use it, and then once you're done, then it can be composted. So another example would be like the compostable paper cups that we use. So those are made from paperboard, but like if you went to a Starbucks, the inside of the cup is actually lined with plastic. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people don't really think in depth about packaging, even though it's like surrounded in everything that we do every day of our life. But you would think it's a paper cup, right? It's biodegradable. Well, that's not true. The inside is lined with plastic, and all of that stuff just ends up in the landfill. With ours, the lining is actually made from a bioresin that is made from corn. And so once again, it's 100% renewable resource. And then once you're finished with it, if you take it to an industrial composter, it will compost completely.
That is incredible. Like, I am mind blown that those kinds of things can happen. Like, that's so cool that you've taken these things that would have been waste, like you said, or these things that, we see every day and we don't really think about very much, or we think, oh, that should be compostable or break down or whatever, but it's not. And you've given this whole entire new, very necessary, spin on it. That is so crazy.
Yeah, you're not alone at all. We have a pretty loyal fan following on both Instagram and Facebook, and I mean, I think that the green community, I guess we'll just call them that, they're as passionate as any other, and they are, extremely excited for these types of products, which Nate mentioned. We're not the first to invent these by any means, but we definitely make them more obtainable to the public. So, I mean, reading some of the comments sometimes that people leave us, just cracks me up in a good way. Like, why isn't everything made like this? I mean, obviously we couldn't have everything made like that because we would have planes that would fall out of the sky. But, I think a lot of our company's mission is to kind of put ourselves in the everyday person's shoes. What are they using a lot of? What can we transform into a more sustainable product? Like our cling wrap, for example, that just came out, that's selling really well. That was a long time in the making, and we were really excited to announce that we just brought that new product to market. And, in every kitchen in the United States and beyond, you probably have a case of Glad cling wrap that's made out of plastic. Well, now we have a substitute that is completely home compostable. So that's really the exciting part of the innovation of it all, is to take something that everybody looks at and just says, that's just packaging. Packaging's not sexy, but as Nate said it as best as anybody could, I mean, it's all around us everywhere. So we want to make people think twice about the decisions that they make, and we want to make products that people are happy with and love to use.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome that that is the point of view that you've taken on it. You know, what are consumers using? What do they need sustainable versions of? Because I mean, I can't tell you the last time I bought cling wrap because I try really hard to reduce my impact in as many ways as I can. But like, I get super frustrated because maybe a recipe will say, and then wrap in cling wrap and, you know, do this thing with it or whatever. And I'm like, what am I supposed to use other than cling wrap? Because in this specific instance, cling wrap is the best option, you know? And now I have something. I have compostable cling wrap, and that makes me super excited because I can do those things that I'm used to doing and not feel guilty for it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they're items that are designed to, kind of put someone's foot in the door.
Right.
Yeah, we're not asking that everybody, goes out and just raids their kitchen and throws away everything that's made of plastic. But, if you are to go on our website and buy, like, for example, a starter pack, or maybe just one bag of kitchen bags, that's something that you can really get excited about. And maybe that'll lead to you starting a home compost pile. And maybe that home compost pile will lead to something else, and maybe you'll tell your friends about it. And really, that's the part that excites us. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're not looking down on people that are, using plastic because we're aware that it's affordable. But we're offering other options, alternative options for people to begin the process because, I mean, we're honestly facing an epidemic right now with not just plastic but trash as a whole.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's awesome. That's an awesome way to put it that you all are a great way to get your foot in the door because you really and truly are. Like all of your products are something that my grandmothers or like my mom could use. My mom is not very sustainable, like just to put it bluntly. She tries in her ways, but she is really overwhelmed by some of the things that I do. And, you know, this would be an awesome option for her to have these compostable kitchen bags or compostable cling wrap or whatever it is. So I think that that's incredible that you all make it easy and way more affordable than some of the other options.
Yeah, I would say too. Meryl was talking about some of the comments that we receive from our customers, through social media and other means, and really, there, as daunting as the plastic pollution problem seems at times and depressing, there is hope because there's so much excitement from people who just refuse to use plastics, that want to reduce their use of plastics as much as possible. And there are viable alternatives, and the trends continue to go this way. And so I think what we're seeing, is from the consumer side, just people in general are just fed up, and they really want to eliminate the use of plastics as much as possible. We can tell you that the business owners that we deal with here in Cincinnati, they don't want to profit from pollution. They want to do what's right. We work very hard to make our products as competitive as possible so that they can make that transition away from plastic and foam.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think also at the government level, here in Cincinnati, there's grants and other things that we personally haven't taken advantage of, but that are looking to reduce waste, reduce consumption. I know there's a lot of government action on the West Coast in California, Washington, and Oregon, New York, and then random states as well. So you're really seeing a lot of action being taken from government, from business, and just from individual people who said, you know what, we're going to take responsibility, we're going to live differently. And that's really, we're trying to be a part of that leadership and to make it as easy as possible for people to transition to that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it is not lost on me that your company doesn't shame people into purchasing their products, because I think that that is a tactic that some people and companies use, but you want to be leaders in that movement. And, the individual can do their part, but it's up to companies making those decisions. And it's up to the individual showing companies and government that this is what they want. My boyfriend and I were talking about that earlier today, and 73%, I think, maybe a little bit more of pollution is by the same 5 top corporations. And then they have the audacity to say, well, you should make better personal choices. Or like the news has the audacity to say you should make better personal choices. But when that's what we're given, it's hard. So when you are you're putting yourselves as leaders in the industry and leaders in the movement from a community level, that's a really incredible way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Shaming people doesn't work at all.
No.
In fact, it just entrenches them to get defensive and to make sure they never change.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's really about inspiring people. I mean, if you visit our website or the way that we talk, we always say, our keywords are take responsibility and live by example. We
Right.
can't control what other people or other businesses do. What we can do is control ourselves and the way that we interact with other people. And if we can show people, hey, this is a sustainable way to live, and this is a way to reduce plastic pollution in our communities, then I think that's how you create a pardon the pun, a sustainable movement. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
and I would say
right.
too, I mean, yeah, sometimes, sometimes because it is Facebook, when we do some advertising on Facebook, sometimes we get some what I would call negative Nancy's, who for whatever reason might criticize one aspect or other as they do with any business. But
right.
What I always tell our team and our motto is just like, we're imperfect humans trying to create a better world. Do we do everything perfect? No. I mean, is everything 100% perfect? No. But if your intentions are in the right place, if you're really trying your best, if you're always willing to be open to positive criticism and continue to improve and to put all your effort into it, then you know what, that's good enough. And so, yeah, I feel you 100% too when you talk about shaming or criticizing, because it's so easy to criticize and not respect how much time and effort goes into really trying to create a movement, to create a company, to create solutions that hopefully are going to revolutionize and change the way that we live our lives. So I feel you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, can you kind of talk about some of the problems that you have experienced or come across being a sustainable brand and, trying to grow in that space?
Meryl, I don't know if you want to take the lead or I can, just because I know you're in the field a lot. What are some of what are the most common obstacles?
Yeah, I can weigh in a little bit. I'm sure you have a handful of input too, since you've been at this for quite a while. But yeah, as Nate kind of put it, I mean, for an owner, honestly, Nate's in the field quite a bit too, and that's a really cool part of our, going out on a tandem here. That's a really cool part about our small business, is that we are a small business. So sometimes you'll see the owner pull up with a delivery, just talk to the customer or the owner and say, hey, how's everything going? So, I mean, we both see our fair share of feedback, positive and negative. To kind of go back on what I said earlier, I think that most people want to do the right thing, but keep in mind we're coming out of an epidemic, we're coming out of a recession, or at least a big dip in the restaurant industry, I should say. And, a lot of these businesses are still hurting. So we try to make our products as affordable as possible. I mean, we own the manufacturing process and we self-distribute. So, I mean, those are literally the two most impactful things that you can do to really bring your costs down. However, let's just face it, plastic's dirt cheap, styrofoam's dirt cheap, and for some restaurants, that's what they can afford. So I've talked to dozens and dozens of restaurant owners that are using styrofoam, and they say, I really love to use your product. I believe in it, but, it's just not the right time right now. but I mean, it's typically a conversation that's left open, whereas like they're still just wowed by this company that's doing this in Cincinnati, you know. So most companies, in my experience, you know, it's an easy sell, so to speak. I'm giving you a better option, an option that your customers are going to react more to. But you know, just because where we're still at, it's sometimes it's a tough decision to make, and sometimes that's not the best decision for the restaurant at that time. Um, that's really the bulk of the issues that I get in the field. I mean, most people just absolutely love our products.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, sorry, just to piggyback off Merrill, I'd say, yeah, probably cost, you know, because the stuff that pollutes the world is cheap, you know. And I don't know. I mean, you wish every business owner would be like, you know what, I'm going to make it part of my business model that no matter what, I'm not going to profit off pollution, that we're not going to sustain the business by just using garbage. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And in some instances, listen, these are businesses that are just trying to survive. So we have to be empathetic with that. And I think, you know, as a company, we take it as a challenge to say, how can we continue to innovate, to offer more affordable solutions, to be more competitive with styrofoam? Because in most cases, I mean, let's just say like extremely generally, our products are double the cost of styrofoam. And what can we continue, you know, where do we invest in our research and development to make it, to come up with more affordable solutions so that for the restaurant or business owner that's using styrofoam, it's not a question of, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? Packaging costs are one of the biggest proportions of our operating costs, and if we move to this, then maybe I need to let someone go. And those are conversations that we had. So, yeah, I think Meryl's right. It's not really, there's so much education and awareness now, even at the smallest level, that people want to do what's right. It's just a question of, for the customers that we haven't converted, it's just a question of affordability.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and on that same note, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Just
you're
one
fine.
last one last little thought here. Well, it's funny because I was just at a restaurant. I was actually racing back to make sure that I was on time for this podcast, as I got lost in the construction nightmare that is Cincinnati. But I was just meeting with this really cool kind of wine and craft beer and small bites place in Covington, right on Main Street, and they've been using styrofoam and they haven't been, you know, really thinking twice about it. But when I approached them, it was just like the floodgates open. They had no idea these products even existed. And I think, if anything, that just goes to show that most people, I mean, they want to do the right thing. Business is getting back to normal. We're opening up more. So, I mean, more revenue is coming in for these businesses, which is great. But I mean, I'm talking about a small business, and you know, the lady that I was talking to, who is one of the part owners with her husband, she was just over the moon on how excited that, like, oh my gosh, these same containers that we've been using, the styrofoam, can be made of a sustainable material. This is absolutely incredible. So, I mean, we talk to people in all phases of discovery. There's people that are experts in the field that may have used these products, or maybe they're hesitant to use these products because they've had bad experiences in the past. We talk to people who just don't care. You know, they just, the bottom line's what really makes sense. And we talk to people who just only want to use these products. And, you know, I think every business is a little bit different in what their needs are and where they fall on that. And that's the exciting part about my job, is to work with these businesses, whether they've been using plastic and forever and they're not ready to change, or they're looking for a new sustainable option. I mean, every business is completely different, and that's a really exciting job.
I'm really impressed that the biggest, that cost is the biggest hurdle that you all have found. Like, it makes me, I guess, happy to hear how many people want to be a part of this. And, you know, the cheapness of plastic is the only thing for some people holding them back, which is just something that you really can't do a whole lot about, like how cheap plastic is. It's just, like you said, it's dirt cheap and it's easy to pollute the planet with, so it sucks. But yeah, that is kind of heartwarming that so many people want to be a part, whether they can afford it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other commodity over time. I mean, if you
Right.
look back in the history of just about anything that has been adopted into mass use, the more demand for a certain product, the more supply there is, the cheaper it is to manufacture. Plastic's been that way for a long, long time. And, we can only hope and pray that in the future, the materials that we're using come down in cost and they're more readily available because, that is one of the number one concerns is that how am I supposed to go to this when I'm already using this for much cheaper?
Right.
Um, and I think we'll get there, absolutely.
Oh, I think so too. And I think that that is where the individual has some responsibility is to make those choices to say, these are the things that I want, to be loud about that. And where companies like your alls have this really awesome role in being a leader in that kind of newer industry and leading that charge into having sustainable options for less. So, can you all talk? Can you maybe give the listener, as we kind of slow down and finish up our discussion today, can you give us some suggestions for living lower waste, more sustainable lifestyles? And specifically for maybe different kinds of lifestyles. Like, I live in an apartment, so it's harder to compost sometimes, or, things like that. Whereas on a farm or at a house, you have more opportunities for that and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you want to take this one, Nate?
Yeah, sure. I think awareness is probably the most important key, right?
Yeah.
Just being aware of your everyday actions. What are you doing day to day, and being aware of as I go throughout my day, and my daily habits. Where am I encountering packaging? Where am I encountering plastics? How do I eliminate these from my life? Because you'll be surprised. It's not just in the products that we deal with either. I mean, there's a number of other companies out there that are innovating in different aspects of, I would say, lifestyle products. Like, I think one example would be a company called Bite. They make Bite toothpicks. Yeah. And I mean, they've completely eliminated plastic from everything to do with toothpaste and brushing and toothbrushes, and they even have a whitener now. So there are you're not going to hear about these on the major news networks because these aren't they're not giant corporations that are funding the narratives and part of the system. But if you are aware of your lifestyle and you are intentional with your actions to reduce your impacts and to be more sustainable, it's as simple as just doing a little research, both through social media and Google, and finding the companies that out there that are innovating. And they're the ones that really need your support, right? So that they can continue to grow, continue to innovate. Because, if we just continue to use the same pollute, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pollutants?
Yeah, pollutants, plastic stuff, from the mega corporations, the same mega cores that are shoving sugar and garbage down our throats.
Right.
Right.
It's kind of the same. Like, I would say it's the same. Very similar with the whole organic, fresh food, unprocessed food movement. Right. It's being aware. What am I consuming? And then actively seeking out the alternatives and the good news is that they do exist. They really do exist. So I think awareness of your daily actions, and then education, just and I'm not talking about going to a university. I'm talking about just just do a little research and find out where these things exist.
Yeah, I think that you're right on point with that, Meryl.
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting that you brought up you live in an apartment. There's obviously, you can't start a compost pile outside of your apartment. I don't think your neighbors would be too fond of that.
They wouldn't.
They do tend to smell.
Yeah.
But it's really comes down to just observing, I think really just paying attention more. So, I mean, you go to Kroger, the number one thing you're going to see in people's carts are bottles of water, right? Um, I mean that's probably the number one beef with the sustainable community. That can be so easily rectified if you have a like a Brita water filter in your refrigerator. I have one in mine. I've used it long before I joined this company. The water tastes great. I buy filters maybe once every 6 months, and I just fill it up, and I have cold, clean, delicious tasting water whenever I want, without throwing a bottle away every time that I want to, take a drink of something. And there's just so many more easy decisions like that. I mean, your Keurig coffee maker that's in everybody's kitchen. There's some companies that make compostable pods, but for the 90% of it, it's just a piece of plastic that you're throwing away after you make your coffee. Switch to a French press. It's better coffee. It does take a little bit longer. I think that we live in a world where convenience has taken over, and convenience is made convenient by one-use options, whether it be made of plastic, whether it be made of styrofoam. Regardless of how it's wrapped, we're a nation that's on the go. And I think that if we really just kind of look around and reevaluate some of the decisions that we make, whether it's as simple as buying a reusable bottle that you fill with water every now and then, whether it's as simple as starting a compost pile. If let's just say that you have a house and you have a backyard that you can do that with. I mean, food scraps, coffee grounds, our home compostable products. I mean, you can literally put, your dog waste in our bags in that compost pile, and that'll break down into soil, and it's beautiful. Instead of throwing your dog waste in plastic to end up in a landfill, and that's literally preserved for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it makes no sense.
There's so much information out there on little steps that you can take to be more sustainable, and we design our products to be that first step, to be that kind of like light bulb that goes off in the consumer's brain that says, how can I maybe make less of an impact on the earth? So with that said, start small and then scale up. It's just like anything else, any other hobby.
Incredible. So where do you see, just my last question for you, where do you see the company going in the future?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll let Nate finish this one.
Yeah.
I want to be in every stadium in Cincinnati. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Part of what we discussed earlier, is not shaming anybody. So
right.
I'm not really doing that when I say this, but for example, Dora is a very popular movement that's happening. And I know that you're in Kentucky, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with what Dora is. It's basically where you can buy usually like a beer or a glass of wine that they put in a plastic cup, and then you can walk from like bar to bar, restaurant to restaurant.
Love that.
Yeah, everybody loves it. I mean, it's tons of fun. I love it, but
right.
It creates just a ridiculous amount of waste because
Absolutely.
all these cups are just one-use cups. So, we really think that our products fit that movement, more than anything else. So
for sure.
we're looking at working with, municipalities and cities for future Dora projects and to maybe reevaluate ones down the line. But I mean, anywhere that there is, a large amount of disposables, that's where we want to be. We want to be the answer, and we want to prop up the local businesses in our local cities and work together, because that's really what our mission is all about, is supporting the community.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd just piggyback on that. So, going back to, why is the company named Responsible Products? There's a lot of products out there, a lot of greenwashing, unfortunately, which is like fake green products. And there's so many brands, green this, eco that. But the question is, why do people buy green products, right? It's because they want to be responsible parents, responsible stewards of their communities, responsible business people. And we felt that responsible products really conveyed what people are trying to achieve. So really it's an aspirational lifestyle brand. It's choosing to live differently. And so as we continue to grow, that's really our mission, is to help people live differently in a truly sustainable manner. And so as on in the distribution side, where we're working with restaurants and breweries and our customers, we're going to continue to work with them. So not only are we providing the compostable solutions for them, but ensuring that after their customers are finished with the product, that it does end up in a compost.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be the first packaging company that takes responsibility for the packaging from beginning to end. And so we're working on some pilot programs that we're launching that I can't go into too much detail right now.
Right.
But that's really our mission, is to take 100% responsibility for the things that we produce. Really, when you look at, as I alluded to earlier in the conversation, the massive packaging companies in America and Europe and everywhere else, they just pop out this plastic and foam and they take zero responsibility for where it ends up. And so that's our mission. On the consumer side, working with individuals directly, we want to be available in retailers throughout the country, and we want the responsible products name to be ubiquitous with a responsible and sustainable lifestyle, so that if you're at a Target or whichever retailer, you walk in and you're in the paper plate aisle and you go, oh, there's responsible products. I know what these products do and how I can properly dispose of them. And then, oh, I'm in the other aisle, and no, I don't want Ziploc bags. I want the responsible products bags. So just continuing to really provide end-to-end solutions that are going to allow businesses and people to truly substitute toxic and pollutive materials for sustainable materials. And just we truly want to, we don't want to just be another packaging company. We want to disrupt the way that packaging has been done until now.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That is so, just chef's kiss incredible. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to see you all grow. And I really think that you will be able to achieve so many of these things.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the kind words and feedback.
Absolutely. Now, tell us, whichever one of you wants to, tell us where we can find your company. Social media, website, everything.
Yeah. So our website's easy. It's responsibleproducts.com. Through our website, you can find most of our socials. Responsible Products on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Responsible Products Limited. And we're a small team, but we work around the clock because we love what we do. So send us messages. Tell us what you think of our products. If you have any questions, reach out to us. It's most likely going to be 1 of 5 people answering. So we absolutely love our community, and we're so happy to call Cincinnati home.
I'm just really thankful that I have met you all and that I get to see you grow from this more intimate perspective where I know you guys. And I think that my listeners, my friends are all super excited about this giveaway. And a few of them have told me, hey, if I don't win that giveaway, I'm still going to go order some stuff, which I'm really just thrilled about. But yeah, again, just really thankful that you guys came on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. We're hiring for a warehouse person, so come on down to the factory and work with us.
For sure. And for the listeners, at the end of this episode, we're recording in the past, this is occurring in the future, all that good stuff. I'm going to come on and put a little addition on and announce who won the giveaway at the end of this episode. So make sure y'all listen all the way until the end. And for my listeners, make sure, or, new listeners, make sure that you follow the podcast at I've Been Thinking Pod. You can check us out, I'veBeenThinkingPod.com. And let me know what you thought about today's podcast, and make sure that you follow Responsible Products so you can keep up with all the awesome stuff that they're doing.
We'll be checking. So you better follow us.
Y'all better follow. You heard him. He'll come for you. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much. And to my listeners, I love you. Bye. All right, guys, dropping in real quick at the end here to announce our Earth Day Responsible Products giveaway winner. I want to congratulate Shelby Catlett for winning the Instagram giveaway. So, Shelby, I will be reaching out to you soon for your address so I can send this over to you. All right. Thanks to everybody who participated. I'm excited, and I hope to do more of these in the future.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.